In Matthew chapter 20, Jesus tells a parable about a landowner who hired multiple workers throughout the day, but paid them all the same amount at the end. This clearly frustrates the workers who came earlier in the day, who thought that they should receive more for their time and effort. But the master responds by saying, "I'm not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the one who was hired last the same as I gave to you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money," he says? "Or are you envious because I am generous?" It's hard not to feel for the workers who came earlier in the day. By our estimation, they deserve more. But evidently, the divine economy works in a different way. God's grace is equally given to all, no matter how early or late they might come. And that means you or I don't have to glance enviously at other people, comparing our worth and value and how much we deserve. Instead, we can work side by side, knowing that it is only by God's grace that we're even here. Perhaps the best example of all of this is the Apostle Paul, who says this in 1 Corinthians 15. "For I am the least of the apostles and do not even deserve to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. But by the grace of God, I am what I am. And His grace to me was not without effect. No," he says, "I worked harder than all of them, yet not I, but the grace of God that was with me." In many ways, Paul was like the worker who was hired on at the end of the day. He came late. And not only did he come late, but he came as enemy number one, a violent persecutor of the church. And yet, he became an apostle. By God's grace, Paul says, "I am what I am." And notice what he says right after that. "And His grace to me was not without effect." See, for Paul, the grace of God was not just the reward that he would get at the end of the day, it was the power that motivated him in the present. Paul didn't work for God's grace, he worked because of God's grace. And so, no matter how we come into God's kingdom, we all come by His grace. And because of His grace, let us, like Paul, be motivated to work like never before, not for the reward at the end of the day, but because of the grace that empowers us right now in the present. Or, in the words of the song that we sometimes sing, "Were the whole realm of nature mine, that were a present far too small. Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all." Sweet.